Hi, welcome to my office. Wonderful place, isn't it? As you can see, I've upgraded from the previous room, setting the reviewing Cara Delevingne films, and now we're still on the laptop and looking at the wrong essay. Fuck. Right. There we are. Cool. Hello. Welcome. Waiting for my script to pop up. I'm professional. As you can see, I have better lights this time. Cool, so... okay, cool. So we're back at it again! We've got more fucking movies to review. Holy shit, boy! For some reason, a lot of you people actually watched the Cara Delevingne review video, which was astonishing. I mean, it was only like 26 as of this current recording date, which is the end of March. But you guys actually liked it, and I'm like, cool, I'm going to do more videos like this then. Not a spamming amount, but quite a bit. So, obviously today we're doing the reviewing Dakota Johnson films, which now is a part of an ongoing series called Reviewing Actors Name Here Films. This may involve actor or actresses, like it currently has for actresses. Excuse me, I'm talking to the person who's meant to be lending me a film that I'm about to review. Yes, thank you. Yeah, so, it's kind of weird, yes, I'm filming the video before I've watched all of the films. Don't worry, we'll get to that. I think some kind of dramatic irony at the end of it, or maybe, who cares. So I want to do a lot more of these kind of reviews, and of different... For now, I'm focusing on some actresses in particular, like for Cara Delevingne, for instance. She's more of a model than she's an actor, but also she's known in a way in the acting world for not having great roles to play. And, you know, she hadn't been in too many films, but enough that I could still review her performances. So there was enough stuff there. Also, celebrity crush kind of thing. So, yeah, if you have any suggestions for other actors or actresses to review, it's more or less I'm reviewing their performances in these films, but I'm also still reviewing the films mildly, not too much, and I don't plan to give away spoilers or anything for the films, unless it's, like, past 10 years old, maybe. I don't know, depends how shitty the film is. Like Suicide Squad, nobody gives a shit about that, so I'll spoil the crap out of it, because I'm saving you the trouble of having to watch it. So today we're going to be discussing Dakota Johnson films. In this case, 7 different films. Not as much as the Cara Delevingne one, and this one's actually purposefully limited. Because even though she's been in some minor roles in a whole bunch of films before 2015, the film that I'm not talking about in this review is Black Mass, which she actually played a decently big role in. The reason I'm not doing that film is because I can't be bothered watching it, for one thing, but also because of symmetry and some kind of poetry, I guess. You'll see, because 7 divides into 2 lots of 3 and 1 lot of 1. I'm getting there. So what do we got? So I've categorized them into 3 different sections. 3, depending on which thing. I couldn't do this for like the first 10 years of my life. Now it's like E.T. So yeah, so the 3 different sections: the good, the bad, and the oh god, why? So personally, I've had no interest whatsoever in Dakota Johnson until I saw Bad Times at El Royale last year. Of course, I knew about her, you know, her infamous 50 Shades of Grey trilogy. Or should I say trilogy? Or should we just leave that for that Final Destination trilogy DVD that I didn't buy because I bought the Blu-ray set instead? I don't regret that, because there's 5 films for $20 or 3 films for $13, and there's the DVD, and then there's 5 films on Blu-ray, so it's like, yeah. Still, I bought those films. Yeah, maybe we won't call it the trilogy. We'll leave it for that trilogy, for that thematic franchise of films. I'd never watched the 50 Shades trilogy until now. Oh shit, I did it. Oh fuck, I did it. So let's take a look at the categories. So in our good category, we have A Biggest Splash, a 2015 film by Luca Guadagnino, or is it Guadagnino? Guadagnino. I could never pronounce his name properly until this very video. Then we have Bad Times at the Royale by Drew Goddard, released in 2018. And Suspiria by Luca Guadagnino, again, in 2018. Those are... I'm saying that they're good because the films are good and they're my favourite of her roles so far. Or at least my favourite of the films that she's been in so far. Yeah, both of those things. In the bad category, we have How to Be Single by Christian Ditter from 2016. Yeah, I just realised I don't have a camera giving close-ups on my face, so you can't really see how much pain is in my eyes. So I have to verbally digress it right now. So and then we have the Oh God, Why category, where we're watching 50 Shades of Grey by Sam Taylor Johnson from 2015, 50 Shades Darker by James Foley in 2017, and 50 Shades Freed by James Foley in 2018. Currently, as of recording right now, I have not watched 50 Shades Freed. My friend is lending it to me tomorrow, so I'm planning a special filming for it to probably watch it on... I'll probably watch it on the Friday night and do a review immediately after. Just go completely off the bat, not hardly any notes, just complete, honest reaction to what I thought of the film. So that'll be fun, unless, of course, I get dragged out by some friends on Friday night. I don't know, it's Friday, anything could happen, but I usually get quite tired from work, so we'll see, we've got time. So let's start with 50 Shades of Grey in our next position. Hi, welcome back. This is not a comfortable position. There are too many cushions on this bed. Couch thingy. Cool, so 50 Shades of Grey. Fuck, I realize unlike the previous essay, this is still, 1,700 words, Jesus Christ, I still have a film to go. Okay, cool, let's adjust myself. So, this time I didn't actually write it properly into an essay. Instead I decided to just write notes down, because some of these films were too brain-numbing to fucking write down into an essay. So let's just kind of go off the bat. 50 Shades of Grey, the 2015 film by Sam Taylor Johnson, adapted from the E.L. James novel of the same name, obviously, is actually not a bad film, to be honest. Like, I gave it, 2.5 stars? I rather enjoyed it. It's fucking... It's like... It was like watching The Room, but not. It was just so bad it's good kind of film, because I praised the cinematography. The cinematography was decent. The acting was not actually as bad as they say. And the, I guess, production design wasn't too bad. What was the other thing I was thinking of? Music. Music wasn't bad. Music was pretty good. This one's the only film so far of the trilogy that has any good of any of that stuff. Everything else is horrible. The story is bad, the characters are awful, and the writing is the worst. The dialogue is exceptionally hilariously bad. So let's go on about the dialogue. Nope, we're just talking about how she's a hopeless klutz and a hopeless romantic. She literally says that she's a hopeless romantic, pretty much. This is, of course, who is she playing? Anastasia Steele. I didn't even write it down, I just know. She plays Anastasia Steele, who's a small-town girl who went to the city and is, I think, she works in an auto repair shop, like a place, office works for people who need ropes and shit. And it doesn't really matter because none of it ever comes up again. In terms of her character, she begins as a casual klutz. She'll fall over, she'll trip on things. She trips on nothing when she opens Christian Grey's door. I think that's probably the only reason he liked her. He's like, this girl's fucking dumb. Cool. She also plays a really bad drunk, like really exceptionally cringy. And my final fun note, she takes the blue pill without even knowing what it is or what it does. So she'll never know where the rabbit hole leads. Matrix reference, because she literally just takes a blue pill, like when she wakes up in Christian's house after she's hungover, and she doesn't know what it does. There's just a note that says drink. You know, it's like, cool. And then she does, and then Christian comes in, and she doesn't ask what it is. It's just like, he's like half naked, so she doesn't give a shit. And of course, she is promoted very strongly as a virgin for the first part of the film, so hence the casual klutz and the hopeless romantic. She's a lit major, of course she's a hopeless romantic. It's fucking cliche. Like, how the hell exactly was this fanfiction for Twilight? Jesus. Then, yes, if you must know, my personal review of Dakota Johnson's body, not exactly review, just a nice commentary, decent tits, nice ass, pretty face. Comparing that in pretty much every one of these films that I've watched with her, she has been naked in at least all of them so far, except for How to Be Single. So there's that. Yeah, so I didn't, hate that at all, I guess. My friend actually, I was talking to my friend after watching it, and my friend was like, oh, does it make you horny to watch that kind of film? Like, really, it does not make me horny. Like, sex scenes in films just don't do it for me, especially these ones. These ones are horrible. Like, especially because, like, they're emphasizing on BDSM, and it's like, this isn't really BDSM, it's just bad. So yeah, her overall performance isn't bad. Like, she sticks to the character, her klutzy face is over once she's literally had sex for the first time. And she's kind of wants to be, you can tell that she kind of wants to be a independent woman who's strong and all this kind of shit and doesn't need a man to help her out, but then she fucks a dude who's rich and handsome, and she's like, okay, fuck it, I'll just do whatever this guy says. So she does, which is great. Or as I note, gets pushed for the charms of Christian. Yeah. Yeah, there's shockingly a lot more to be desired from her portrayal of her character. But to be honest, there's a lot more to be desired from her character, like, to begin with, because her character's fucking 2D as shit. So yeah, the film isn't so awful. Like, the dialogue is tremendously terrible, but for some of those lines, they're absolutely killer to listen to. And now it's one of those things of, like, I could cut to all these different clips of him saying, I'm 50 shades of fucked up, or something like that. And that's, like, one of the last funny lines in the whole film, when it gets to its boring phase. And in the context of watching this film, it's hilarious. Without the context of watching the film and just seeing the lines by themselves, it's still hilarious. But I think it's funnier when you watch the film. So the cinematography is decent, the music is decent, the acting isn't that bad. Like, they're trying. It's pretty obvious. So it's much more forgivable than its sequels. Definitely. The film itself, the first 90 minutes are okay. The last half an hour, because all these go for 2 fucking hours for some reason. The last half an hour is the most boring and just unnecessary half an hour of each of the films, where just something completely different gets thrown in. It's like, fuck, we've run out of plot devices, fucking throw everything at them, and it's just boring as shit. So yeah, but I watched the extended unseen version, I should have clarified that, the unseen version of 50 Shades, which actually adds an extended ending of them just being sad that they're not with each other, which, knowing that the theatrical cut ending ends with the elevator doors closing, and she's like, he says Anna, and she says Christian, and it's like, oh, it's romantic, maybe? I don't know, some fucking euphemism of these elevator doors. And that's where it ended. But then the unseen version adds this extra clip of her crying while she's on a taxi home, and it's raining, and he's running through the rain, but he's like got a solemn face, because he's like, I'm still a man, but I'm crying on the inside, and I'm using this rain as like a metaphor. And it's just fucking dumb. So yeah, that's 50 Shades of Grey. I gave it 2.5 stars out of 5, and I suggest watching it. Highly suggest watching it. Not for the kinky sex part, because fuck is the kinky sex part boring as shit. Rather humorous, though. But just because of how laughable the whole film is, I definitely suggest it just for that. Yeah, cool. Okay, so let's move on to our next film, which is what I watched in chronological order. Suspiria from 2018. Have fun. Suspiria 2018 is a film directed by... Oh, I'm just moving my chair and sorry about that. It's a film directed by Luca Guadagnino, and it is fucking mental. This is a 2.5-hour long film, a remake of the 1977 Argento version, which only goes for an hour and a half, and this film adds a whole extra hour, and it's worth it. Yeah, so let's talk about this film. Firstly, it's something completely different to what Dakota Johnson has done before. She portrays the character of... Sorry, I forget to breathe sometimes. She plays the character of Susie Banyan, an American who's moved to Berlin to study dance at a dance academy. I think they call it dance school or something like that. I don't know. They gave it a kind of mildly different name in this film compared to the original. Yes, if you're wondering, you can watch the original and then watch this one, or vice versa. Either way, the original isn't as specific onto the fact that there are witches as the bad guys, but this one is clear as fucking daylight about it, because in the first scene they're literally like, they're witches! Unless you listen to the music track in the first one, because it's literally the first 2 minutes it says, witch! It's great. So I'd suggest both of these two films. Yeah, so... Initially, she's portrayed as a more innocent and naive girl from, small farm town, stuff like that, and takes pleasure in the fact that her performances, her dancing performances, which are pretty much improvised, but are very specific in their way of doing it. Like, to her, it's improvised. To us, it's obviously, it's choreographed, but very delicately, and very aggressive as well. She takes pleasure in the fact that she's well regarded by the staff for her skill and talent, comparing that she's never done it before. She's only seen a lot of shows before and whatever. But it's especially that she's especially treated well by Madame Blanc, who is portrayed by Tilda Swinton, who is a very common actress in Guadagnino films, as well as another one on this film list, A Big Splash. So now, as this film is about a dance school run by a coven of witches, it of course changes completely throughout itself. Because you start off finding out that they're witches from the get-go by a different character. So Susie comes in, she doesn't know that they're witches, and she doesn't really investigate it either. It's other characters who find out that they're witches, but there's an importance to Susie about the witches and pretty much motherhood and a whole bunch of all this subtextual stuff, but she doesn't need to be told that they're witches. She finds out of her own accord, which is interesting. I actually have some written reviews by other people about her performance. So we got this person called Erlich, I believe it is, found Johnson's performance thrillingly unrepentant. Troop noted that Johnson navigates her role with grace and captures just the right physicality in the various modern dances that ground the movie with a primordial weight and sexual energy. And Sandy Schaefer of Screen Rant described Johnson's performance as engaging. I very much agree. She, of course, is pretty much, I guess, you're in her seat from the get-go, you know that there are witches because you're told that in the first scene, but she isn't, but, you kind of are okay, so she's going to this dance school, there's something to do with a farm and her mother dying, what else are we going to get from this? And it just escalates as you watch it all go down, and her dancing performances, because it's all Dakota Johnson actually doing it, it's intense. It's very physical and very... just so, as I say, it's modern dance. It's not fucking ballet, in the first film. This one is big on its dance. and it's very well done. So her performance overall is interesting. In a film that literally houses 3 distinct performances by Tilda Swinton, and the fact that she has to combat the fact that she is a recreation of a different character, of the same character from a film 40 years beforehand, there is like a lot, but also not much to say. She carries the performance in the physicality very well. And of course, it kind of has this sexual grace as well, especially during a lot of the nighttime scenes where she's dreaming that she's getting fed these dreams by the witches because they're trying to groom her, and you're just watching it, and it just looks like she's masturbating in her bed and is just having this ongoing orgasm whilst viewing all these dreams, which are really, they're not sexual images in their own right. They are very like disturbing and shit. Like, you got all kinds of weird ass spooky paranormal crap that she's getting fed in her dreams. But from the outside, from just like looking at her in her bed, it just literally looks like she's pretty much fingering herself in her sleep. That's what it looks like in a way. And that's where a lot of the more sexual appeal comes from, for pretty much the whole presentation, outside of a very somewhat mildly sexualized dance scene later in the film, probably midway throughout the film. So yeah, again, a lot of physicality to the performances. Yeah, so she takes all this performance with great stride, and I very much appreciate it and admire it too. Like, the shit that she has to do for the dancing is like, I don't think I could even do that, because I'm not physically capable of doing that kind of shit, you know? Her portrayal of the character is of someone who is seemingly easily swooned, but kind of aware of this, like someone who, what do I say? Like, by this I mean that she's catered to by Madame Blanc, who treats her like a prized student, but she takes this with pride, but not overbearingly so. Like, she's not like egotistically like, I'm like the head student or whatever, or like the teacher's pet or some shit. She just appreciates what she's getting because it seems as if like that she's never been treated this way before, which is quite nice, because again, you also get flashbacks to her as a kid, and that she's like grew up in a poor farming family of like maybe 4 other girls, and she never got to do what she wanted to do, because she kind of always, in this one scene, has this fascination with Berlin, and they're like, no, you have to learn American history and whatever. So yeah, from a homeschooling thing. Upon rewatching this film, as this is literally the 3rd time I've watched this film, twice in cinema, once on Blu-ray, that was only, like, this once on Blu-ray was just for the preparation of this film, of this video here. I find it interesting how she encapsulates what her character becomes. Because, of course, she starts off as Susie Bannion, and, you know, innocent, mildly naive, but can perform dance really well. And, like, her excuses, I watched these shows on tape, and I saw some in like, live in performance. And I'm like, but you never get any further backstory into it. It's later in the film when her character kind of does this whole shift. This is like in the last 45 minutes. So I won't get into detail as to why or how or what exactly it means. But her character really changes quite a bit. And the way that she encapsulates that is quite extraordinary. And I really liked it. So yeah, a very refined performance, and by far my favourite of hers so far. So yeah, I definitely suggest this film, 100%. I think I gave it a solid 5 stars. Both for it's everything about this film is amazing, and her performance in particular is great. I do think Tilda Swinton steals the show, playing 3 different characters, but I still think Dakota Johnson does well as Susie, and comparing that it's a film led wholeheartedly by females, there's only like 2 male characters, technically 3, but one of them is kind of Tilda Swinton in a mask, so that's fun. It's really cool, actually. The film doesn't acknowledge it, but you know, you just know. Yeah, so I would highly suggest this film to anyone. Fuck, we're moving on to our next film. It's... Whoa! Cool. I didn't want to actually move the camera again, so let's talk about A Bigger Splash. That's fucking weird. So A Bigger Splash is a 2015 film directed by Luca Guadagnino, actually written by the same guy who did Suspiria. So the same guy who wrote A Bigger Splash 3 years later wrote Suspiria, and I really like that. Probably not 3 years. Oh, maybe 3 years later. I don't know when this film got into development. But they've been trying to make a remake for a while, so yeah. Okay, so in this film, she plays Penelope, the daughter of, noted more as Pen, the daughter of Harry, who is played by Ralph Fiennes, who is exceptional in this film, and holy fucking shit, if you're going to watch this film, I recommend it just for Ralph Fiennes' performance. Ralph Fiennes? Ralph Fiennes. I think it's Ralph Fiennes. She comes with him on a trip to Italy to meet Marianne, his ex-girlfriend, and a pop star portrayed by Tilda Swinton, who's on vacation with her husband. At least I believe it's her husband. I was told, I'm very sure I thought it was her boyfriend at first, but apparently they were husband and wife, so it's like, okay, cool. The film focuses on them to begin with, because it's them on their holiday retreat. She's a pop star. She's just got this is Tilda Swinton. Her vocals are damaged from a recent concert. And so she's trying to just appreciate the time that she has with her husband in this kind of recovery state, hoping that her voice will come back. And then, boom, Ralph Fiennes is there. Hey, fucking hell, he's gonna fuck shit up, and it's great. So she plays a secluded yet kind of youthful teenager, even though she's believed to be in her 20s. But later in the film, we find out that she's not in her 20s. She is a teenager, and it's kind of the generic kind of cliche teenager thing of I like to be by myself and secluded and read books in my room in the dark or some shit like that, but not overbearingly so. She wears the clothing appropriate to the atmosphere because it's a warm, summer weather in Italy, and they're at a lake. It's a house on a hill and it has a pool, so she goes in the pool a lot. She reads once in the film. I think she just sits there and reads within the first half an hour while she's there, because they come in the first 5 minutes. It's actually kind of it was shocking how quickly it happened. She likes to swim a lot. My quote from this film is there a pool? The pool is also kind of a metaphor in this film. Fuck if I know what it's a metaphor for. It's symbolic of some shit, but I don't know. It's interesting. She's kind of, in the start of the film, a audience fill-in character, again, kind of like Susie Bannion from Suspiria, because you're getting stuff, she's getting told stuff from, in this case, her dad, about Marianne and the husband and shit like that, because she only met her dad a year prior to it. He had no idea that he had a daughter, but then it's oh, well, yeah, no, I definitely slept with your mom, so yeah, we probably are father and daughter, even though they don't look they even comment on how they don't really act alike because they're polar opposites, and they don't really look too much alike outside of they're both white people, so there's that. But then later in the film, in Suspiria, she changes when things become, she kind of focuses on her own shit, which is rather interesting. So yeah, she gets told a lot of stuff about Marianne, and it's pretty much all stuff from his past with her. And it's quite fun. He's obviously trying to show her what a great life he's had and what a great life she could have, and how great a lot of people's lives are, and how fun life can be and whatever. And she obviously appreciates this, otherwise she probably wouldn't have gone on this trip with him in the first place. Especially because it's just him and her, not her mum at all. So yeah, she's pretty much, she plays the extreme opposite of Ralph Fiennes' character for at least the first half of the film, where he's very loud and outgoing and just always in your face. He's a guy who's so brutally honest that he will offend you no matter what he says, but he doesn't fucking give a damn, because he's look, I speak the truth, I speak honestly, if you don't like it, fuck off, pretty much. Except he will still keep trying to talk to you just to grab you back, because he doesn't really want you to fuck off, because he wants attention. Yeah, attention seeking. He likes knowing that people are there listening to what he has to say, or watching what he's doing kind of thing. But yeah, it's the way he does it, at least the way that Ray Fiennes performs it, is very much something that only Ray Fiennes can pull off, because holy shit. More on her character. She plays the character well. It's not over the top, it's not overbearing. It's mostly subtle in terms of how she plays the character. Well, not really subtle, it's just natural. It's very natural for how she plays the character. And she can be very expressive when the scene calls for it. I very much say this is in part to Guadagnino's directing, because he's in the 2 films that she's been in that he's directed. Her acting has been very, very top-notch, especially in contrast to later films in this list. So yeah, I definitely think that with a good director, she can be really good, and probably a good script as well. You know, but that's kind of like the expectation that most people have, that they have a good script. So during the latter half, it's established that she has kind of a more sexual interest in Marianne's husband, Paul. She brings in a more seductive side that kind of is a kind of balance between how subtle it is, but also the fact of, let's go find a different Paul to fucking while your wife ain't here. Like I said, the Paul's an allegory or something. By the end of the film, she's personified a girl who's pretty much gone from the young, youthful, closed-in teenage character to this much more mature adult. She's much more expressive. She's much less secretive, pretty much, especially to the main characters, because you find out in the later half that she has kept a lot of stuff from Marianne and Paul, and that's why she was so secluded, because she was being secretive, but also because, you know, she doesn't know these people, she doesn't really trust them, she doesn't have any reason to trust them except for her dad being like, oh, I used to work with them, and I used to fuck this girl, and now he does, so... But they're good people, you know, so... And she's only known her dad for a year, so can she really trust him as well? So her shift is more presented... So though her shift is presented more like as if she was always like this, always so secluded and whatever... It's, yeah, again, pretty obvious that she just decided to close herself off to Marianne and Paul. Though the idea of her character being more secretive and, you know, secluded and whatever, but just mostly secretive, it has a lot more value to it, especially upon rewatch, knowing not just what happens in the film, but also how her character develops. You're like, okay, I see and I understand how she pulls it off and whatever. Again, this is the second time I've watched this film. I previously watched it in, like... maybe December of 2018? Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Overall, she plays the character very well, and I quite enjoyed the performance. I really enjoyed the film, too. I think I gave it maybe a 4.5 stars. So, yeah, no, I definitely suggest watching this film. It's, like, not even really for her performance, but Tilda Swinton does a really good performance. But Ray Fiennes is the show stealer, easily. There's just a dance scene in this film, which is just fucking amazing. And you could just watch it up on YouTube, but you'd have no context of what his character's like. And if you knew how outgoing his character was, the scene makes perfect sense. And it's so fun to watch. You could take it on both a comedic value or just a pure, holy fuck, this is amazing. So yeah, I definitely suggest The Biggest Splash. Okay, next up we've got something much darker, and I'm going to take a short break from filming for now. I just said a pun, get it, because it's darker, because it's 50 Shades Darker. Ho, fuck. Alright, cool, so, welcome to my bed, the most comfortable place in this room. And today, I'm going to be talking about... Holy shit, we're still talking about this video. Alright, so... Cough. I'm going to fall back into... What the fuck is that? It's a bunch of books. Alright, let's talk about 50 Shades Darker. This is very uncomfortable right now. Alright, so... 50 Shades Darker. Who fucking cares? James Foley? Who cares? He fucking sucks as a director. Everything in this film, to begin with, is utterly forced. so forced that I gave it half a star. I don't know how to. That's one, so like half. Is that half? I don't know. Half a star, because this film fucking sucks. It's pretty evident that the actors were pretty much just given a bad script and poor directing. Whenever they had a line, they just shoved it out of their mouths and got the hell on with it. Very, very obviously. Like, there is no heart and no soul put into this film. It's just... It's not even, like, for the cash grab. It feels more like they were put on this contract to make the trilogy, no matter how poorly performed. And they were like, fuck, well, the first one did really well, and I hated doing it, and I hate doing this one, so I'm just going to shove these fucking lines out of my mouth and get it the hell on with. No wonder why everyone preferred Rita Ora's performance in this film. So yeah, Johnson herself, Dakota Johnson, seems so bored no matter how hard she tries. Like, I feel bad for her. She and Dornan just spout out the dialogue until all the scenes are over. You can tell that you can tell that they hate that they're stuck in this mess from the beginning. And I feel sorry for them. But at the same time, they're getting paid a hell of a lot just to be like shoving a few lines out of their mouth and being naked for like at least half an hour of the film. It's runtime. Unfortunately, even the dialogue is bad. It's not laughable like the previous installment. It's purely so boring and dumb. And again, 2 hours long. Once you get to the 90-minute mark, you're like, okay, I've officially checked out of this film, which sucks for a very big thing. Yeah, no, actually, I was just going to say, like, 50 Shades of Grey feels more like it should have been a standalone film rather than the first in the trilogy, because it kind of works better that way after having seen the second one, because damn, is the second one bad. The second one has a lot of laughable moments. For example, he proposes to her, she says maybe, and then her way of saying yes is by giving him a birthday present that is a keychain of Seattle, and on the other side, it's a flashing light that says yes, exclamation point, all caps, in Comic Sans. Yeah. Some production person decided to give up and just bought that, and yep, it was probably like $5. Yeah, so it's bad. Additionally, another scene which is probably the most famous from this film is the helicopter scene where randomly it's like, let's introduce the fact that it's it's Christian Grey's birthday tomorrow. Okay, cool. What else should we do about that? Cool, let's just have his helicopter crash for no reason. And then it's like a 5-minute period of like, oh my god, is he alive or is he dead? And you just have them all like, oh, I miss him, oh, I love him so much. And then the news is just like, it turns out they're okay. And they're like, wait, what? Turn it up. We gotta find out where they are. And then just Christian walks through the front door with like a flesh wound and like a small patch of blood on his head. And he's like, what are you guys doing here? Get the fuck out of my house. And they're like, you almost died. And it's just like, who fucking cares? It's like, there is no tension, no drama. It's just purely bad and hilarious. But because I'd emotionally checked out by that stage in the film, post 90-minute mark, I was just bored. So bored. And this is like the last 20 minutes of the film. It's so boring. But that part was amazing, but it's so boring. So I didn't care while I was watching it, which was just disappointing. More of a comment on the narrative of this film than anything else, but why didn't we get the twist that, like, Christian Grey was actually the leader of a sex cult? Like, think about it. If he turns out to be the actual bad guy in the final film, like the third one in the trilogy, even though it's pretty kind of obvious by the start of this one that he's definitely the bad guy. Like, a film about creepy stalkers, and the real creepy stalker is the one that Anastasia Steele is having sex with. Yeah. Also becomes her boss. It's like, this film is just bad, and so bad. So the idea would be that, like, Anna has to convince him that, like, love is better than sexual domination, so he shouldn't have this cult anymore and whatever. I mean, probably better than the whole trilogy combined, but still, I digress. Maybe he turns himself into the police because he's like, oh, you know, Anastasia's like opened my eyes to how love is good, but also the fact that what I've still done is wrong, and the police have to know about this. So he goes and tells the police and gets himself arrested and whatever. And even though he's rich, he's like, nope, I want to stay my time in the prison, whatever. For like, it's probably like a year or two or whatever. Cause it's like, it's a sex cult, who really cares? And he just helps them to find the rest of the people and whatever, to make sure that they all get rehab and shit. And so then Anastasia starts hanging out with Jose a lot, the obvious person who definitely doesn't love her already. Coming in the first one, he makes a photo gallery. That's just no. The second one, he makes a photo gallery. That's just her. Is that the first one or the second one? Here, the second one. I don't know. It's bad, so it doesn't really matter. So yeah. So Jose is there for her, or is it Jose? I can't remember. So he's there for her, and she finally falls for him because it's like, hey, this guy actually does care about me, and we can have more of a relationship, and we don't have to worry about kinky sex stuff. And, you know, they live happily ever after until either, one ending, Christian Grey is released from jail, and finds and kills Jose, and it ends with Christian looking at Anna as she sleeps, and it ends there on a cliffhanger, never to be resolved. So this is the end of the third one, so kind of a emphasis on freed, because she's freed from him, but then he gets freed from prison, and he comes to take revenge, maybe, because he's a fucking psychotic wanker. Or, my more favorite preferred ending, it isn't Christian Grey who escapes or is released, but he's Mrs. Robinson character. She comes to at like the middle of the night, whatever, because you know Christian Grey is now being put in prison. She's pissed off at Anastasia Steele that she gets to live a happier life, even though she was also the one who wanted her to break up with him anyway. But of course, she probably would have wanted Christian again in jail. So that's where all the real conflict comes from. And so she goes to Anastasia Steele's place, and she breaks in and she kills Jose, and like throws him to the side, and is just standing there with like a bloody knife, watching Anastasia Steele sleep, because she wants to wait for her to wake up before she starts stabbing. Because where's the joy if she's not awake, I guess, and not aware of what's going on? So yeah. So you just have her staring at Anastasia Steele with the blood dripping from the knife, and that's where it ends. Cuts to credits. No more of this shit. And that's my review of 50 Shades Darker. It's not worth it. Except maybe for the helicopter scene, but like that's so far into the film that it doesn't matter. Watch it on YouTube. Alright, let's take this more realistically now. With our second to last film, as I have not... Oh, no, there's two films. Okay, let's talk about Bad Times at the El Royale. In this film, Dakota Johnson plays as Emily Summerspring. The film being a recent release, 2018, like with Suspiria, I won't reveal any of the major plot points, especially as this is more of a mystery thriller. Whereas the twists in Suspiria just come completely oppositely to what you expect, so like you don't know if there's going to be twists or not. So, as it says, mystery drama thriller, I won't spoil any of the details about the plot. So in terms of Johnson's portrayal of the character, she's simply put just she's an older sister who is seeking to protect her younger sister. Like, you get that from her flashback, and that's pretty much it. Strangely, this is kind of the film of this hippie sex cult, but anyway, performance is strong. It's very good, quite good in this film. But her character never feels fully well-rounded like the other characters. Like, even some of the characters who have a much shorter role in the film who are maybe made out to be bigger characters, actually have much more... I don't know, they feel more real, like, you would root for them, you would hope for them to survive that kind of shit. Whereas her character, it's like, she's kind of just there for the final act to happen, realistically, like, because they're running away from this dude, played by Chris Hemsworth, and that's about it. Like, her sister is the person she's trying to protect from the guy, and literally that's it. The flashback is all to do with her protecting her sister from their father, and yeah, that's it. There's not much else to a character, which is kind of disappointing. And so there's not really much to say in terms of her performance. Like, what have I noted? Like, it's convincing enough that she cares for her sister, even though the first time you see her with her sister, she's literally kind of kidnapped her. And, like, she's definitely strong enough and independent enough that she will take anyone down that she has to just to make sure that her sister is safe, which is perfectly fine, perfectly fair. But that seems like more of a caricature than the performance, if anything. I definitely wouldn't say that she has a poor performance, though. Not in the slightest. Like, she's secretive and she's protective through and through, but that's about all. She definitely portrays this very much so, and I think it's done pretty well. It's, again, not a very memorable character, but she's there. She's not naked in this one. This is the first film that I've watched of hers that she isn't naked in at all. So there's that. She's only partly... Oh, no, she's definitely fully naked in A Bigger Splash. Anyway, yeah, so her character's really only there so the final act can exist, so that's a bit, iffy in a way. She's honestly not the reason I watched this film, like, as much as I said, like, that other person's good for watching Suspiria, and, Ray Fiennes is good for watching A Big Splash. This film, I would argue that, what's her name, Cynthia Erivo, who had debuted her acting in Widows, which is also really good. Her performance is really good in this film. But also, like, the directing and the music and the cinematography as well. Plus it just being a pretty good, well-rounded mystery thriller. So, yeah, it has its moments. Definitely good. Not worth watching for Dakota Johnson's performance alone. Everyone else does a great job, though. So, yeah, it's still quite a good film. I rated it quite highly. Maybe, I think I gave it 4 stars, maybe 3.5. This is the second time I've watched it now. It's pretty much only the 50 Shades films that I never watched the first time and How to Be Single. But yeah, definitely worth the watch. And second to last, we have my review for How to Be Single. So my review it's very short, actually. It's one line that's pretty good for a review. It reads, I'm not watching this shit because Rebel Wilson is in it, and so yeah, maybe we can universally agree to skip this film. I don't like Rebel Wilson, so we cool with that? Yeah? We good? Yeah? Yeah? Good, because the only other person I know who's watched this film says it's not worth it. So, and I've watched clips on YouTube, and there's not much that I can say about her performance. I think it's just that kind of cash-it-in kind of films, like, oh, generic rom-com, that I'm, like, a third part of the film of, because there's 3 other actresses who are much bigger names, and, yeah, and she's not naked in it, so what's really the point? No, but honestly, I'm not gonna watch that shit. Nothing Rebel Wilson, I'm sorry, no. And I kind of semi-expect that most people might be like, oh, do a review of Rebel Wilson films. I'd prefer to fucking kill myself. Actually, worse, fucking stab out my eyes and listen to her screaming all day and all night, or just talking in general. Those audible ads that they're showing right now is really a pain. Anyway, cool. Alright, so lucky last we are going to go completely blind into is 50 Shades Freed. If not, this is going to be a really awkward cut to a completely different thingy. So I'm not even going to film the outro. I'm just going to leave this be, and I'll see you guys in a few minutes or not. I don't know. Bye. Yes. No. Who cares? Oh, God. Okay, then. This is a test. I think we're getting good now, yes? Okay, excellent. This is very quite loud. Let's turn the gain down a bit. Okay, how about now? That sounds a lot better. Good. Let's now dim the lights. Make it a lot more... Hold on. Hi, how's it going? I could realistically just turn off all the lights, but I mean, I gotta have some kind of multiple light sources thing kind of happening. So, on my screen here I have Audacity. I have this new Blue Yeti microphone that I bought, not for this video at all, actually. I bought it more or less so I could do other stuff, because I need voiceover shit. So, this is the final part of the video where I talk about the wonderful 50 Shades Freed, as you can see in this very small image of a reflective DVD, the unveiled edition, courtesy of my friend Melanie, who for some reason likes these films, and bought them all on DVD. Thank you for lending me the DVD. For reference, I watched the first one on Blu-ray because Mum had bought it. Evident as to why. The second one I watched on Netflix as the only person I did know who, actually only two people that had it, Melanie and my brother's girlfriend, and my brother's girlfriend couldn't find it, so I just decided to watch it on Netflix instead. So yeah, so now we're going to review, in this last 10 to 15 minutes of this already almost an hour long video, we're going to talk about the wonderful film that is 50 Shades Freed. Fuck, I've already picked the microphone so many times. Like, how low should this gain actually be? I don't know. I've never used this microphone before, so let's just hope it sounds good. I've put it on cardioid, so it should be alright. So, 50 Shades Freed is a 2018 film, directed by some fucking idiot who doesn't know how to direct. Pretty much like before, just got notes. I actually only, it's as I said in the start of this video, it's meant to be Friday. It's actually Monday. I did watch the film on the Thursday that Melanie gave it to me, but I didn't film that night because I'd work the next morning, and I was too tired from work that Friday night to be able to film, so I didn't. So it's Monday instead, my regular almost filming night. After I watch about 2 films, depends on how it goes. Maybe 3 if I'm lucky. Anyway, so yeah, that's just my Monday night shit. So let's talk about this piece of crap. So yeah, there are more dumb amusements in this one, which is nice, but still dull as fuck. As you can tell, I really don't like this film. What did I even review it? I think I gave it maybe a half a star or maybe a star. I don't know. Me in post, check my Letterboxd review. Like, the whole idea leading into this film from the previous installment is the wedding as one big thing, you know, the whole engagement, the whole Comic Sans thingy that says yes, and then proposing again for a second time for some fucking reason, I don't know, romance and shit. And Jack Hyde, the guy who sexually abused our dear protagonist, Anna Steele. So, you know, him being a creepy dude and whatnot. But the wedding is done literally in the first few minutes of the film. So there's nothing really to care about. It's just the first 20 minutes of the film is wedding, honeymoon, and the wedding is like a montage. Wedding montage, honeymoon montage. Look at all these extra B-roll shots we've got of the boat and a plane and stuff. And then, like, there's all these little thingies to do with the rest of the plot that are, like, introduced in that segment, but really poorly, and it's like, I don't care, you know? If you don't care about the second one, you're not going to care about the third one. So yeah, my favourite line from the film is at the, what do you call it, on the honeymoon, they're on this kind of partially nude beach, where most of the girls are topless, and, like, you know, Christian Grey's like, I don't want you to be naked, it's only for me to see, because it's all about him wanting
her all to himself. Nothing else to get in the way. Not even the baby that comes later in the film. Oh my god, she gets pregnant. It's fucking haunting. So she says, "Look around. There's nothing but boobs for as far as the eye can see. It's boobs and boobland." I mean, it's not a bad line, actually. It was fucking hilarious. I really liked it, to the point that I rewound it twice so I could get the line perfect in this scripty thingy I have. But yeah, pretty much it's just a montage for the first 20 minutes, and it's boring as fuck. And then the whole Jack Hyde thing is also really poorly executed. Now, one thing I will add is that this film is so similar to the second film, both in the whole idea of this really shitty and forced story and romance that should have ended after the first one quite easily, or should have gone completely different in direction in this one, but it didn't, because of course E.L. James is a fucking idiot, also a bad writer. Is the fact that the kinky sex scenes are have a lot of loud music playing over the top of it, and it's like one of the reviews I read in Letterboxd was like, imagine the fact that they have to, all these sex scenes are actually recorded in complete silence. Like, imagine being there recording that shit, and then like being an editor and being like, hey, Danny Elfman, can you make a really bad song for me? Yeah, cool. Let's put that in the soundtrack and just chuck it on top of this sex scene to make it seem steamier, even though it's really bad. And Danny Elfman's like, fuck, man, just hire a pop star. And they're like, okay, cool. And they do. I mean, how else do you think Rita Ora became famous? Through the non-version of a sex tape, kind of. I don't know. I don't fucking care about Rita Ora. Alright, so her performance, the reason why we're here, Dakota Johnson. Right, the priority of this film. Her performance, well, it's not as painful as the previous film. It seems more like maybe this time, because they know that they're in the final film, that they're just kind of committing a bit more in the performances. I think they're just having a bit of a gag about it. They're like, fuck, it's the last one. We made a fuck ton of money in the previous two. Let's just have fun. Until, of course, you get to the sex scenes where it literally looks like they've just fucking chugged like 5 bottles of vodka and they're going right the fuck into it. But the script is still dull, and the directing is horrible, and every other creative element in the film is really bad as well. It's identical to the second one, except mildly more amusing, because it's the final one. So they got to wrap it all up, but also introduce enough stuff to keep the film going for 2 hours, and fuck, it's boring. But does Anna actually work, in her job? Like, whenever she's at work, she gets taken away to a bar or with Christian in the middle of the day. And people just kind of wonder if she's been promoted because she's married to the boss, or boss's boss, as they joke around. Well, no fucking shit, of course she is. No, you're a hard worker. That's why you're working here, not just because, because I'm the boss's boss. Yeah. It's bad. It's so stupid. So, to be honest, Jose flirting with Mia, Rita Ora's character, is probably the better choice that his character could have chosen, comparing that, Anna is so fucking dull, it's so 2D, and it's horrible. Like, look, she may be cute and, attractive enough and nice enough, but holy shit, Rita Ora is a lot hotter. I don't know anything about her character. I guess she has sass and attitude, I guess. They don't really progress her character much outside of, oh god, she gets kidnapped. And she potentially is screwing Jose. It's like, okay, cool. The reason I get confused about how to pronounce his name is because his character is much more Latino, and of course it is America, so you'd expect it to be Jose, but I also have a friend who's called Jose, so it's like, I don't know. I just don't know. But also apparently, like, it's Jose. It's Jose with an E apostrophe thing, so I think it's Jose. Who cares? Right, my reaction to the club scene was, holy shit, that club scene, though. Like, it went from boring to, it's trying to be sweet, when the guy proposes and everything and whatever. But then the guy hits on Anna by slapping her ass while they're dancing, and boy, did that make me laugh. Like, the whole fact that Christian's just like, fuck you, man, punches him in the face, and then, like, the bodyguards come in, and, like, Christian's like, flex his jacket, and, like, I'm hot. And then goes and dances and makes out with Anna, and everyone else is like, okay, sure, let's just keep doing our shit then. Cool, whatever the fuck. Yeah. For reference, yes, the sex scenes were still dull. Not kinky enough, in my opinion. Yeah, they needed to be kinkier. They were just really dull. They were like, PG BDSM. For reference on further BDSM, check out Pornhub. Just saying. Also, if you want to see these sex scenes, check out Pornhub. Or buy the DVD. Okay, moving on. So yeah, the whole main thing about this film is like, oh, Anna gets pregnant because she's not taking the pill properly, or whatever the hell drug Christian's forcing her to take, so she doesn't get pregnant, so they can have kinky sex without the condom, even though he uses a condom in the previous film. It's like, is the condom a problem? I don't know. They never explain it. So yeah, why doesn't Anna just get an abortion? Like, is this a Christian film from like the 60s or even the 50s? Like, for fuck's sake. Christian Grey's rich as fuck, yet they act as if the concept is impossible to the point that they don't even mention it. Like, it's all about, I'm Christian Grey and I want you all to myself. I don't want any kids to take you away from me. It's like, dude, just fucking pay to get an abortion. It probably doesn't cost that much for you. Like, compared to he says in the previous film, I earn 20 grand every 5 minutes or some shit, every day or whatever the fuck. What does his job do exactly? I don't recall. The interview was in the first one and I already forgot. Anyway. But of course the film needs drama, so yeah, no matter how poorly written it is, they can't have an abortion apparently, because they're, rich white people. I don't fucking know. It's so dumb. Who cares? The post-credit scene is literally a post-credit scene. Is, them two having fun with their kid. It's like, cool. Does that kid end up accidentally getting traumatized because he goes into the red room when he's like 8 or 9 and he's like, oh my god, my parents are doing kinky sex stuff, and like she's locked up so she can't stop him, and he's scared of his dad because his dad's kind of, a fucking creepy stalker dude, so he just kind of is traumatized for the rest of his life. There you go, E.L. James. Make a sequel based on a kid 20 years later or some shit. Who cares? So in reference, yes, I definitely prefer the ending I came up with. This film is way too boring, and all the drama is so forced that I'm surprised this became a film at all. And that is literally all I wrote, so I'm going to delete that note from my phone, and I'm going to question why this took me 12 minutes to say that shit. Yeah, would I recommend this film? Fuck no. Would I recommend this trilogy? No. I'd recommend the first one. The first one's a laugh. The second one's horrible. The third one, except for that airplane, the helicopter part, we think he sabotaged our plane, that kind of crap. But then you've got the third and final one, and it's just kind of unnecessary. So, yeah, you can watch it, I guess. Her performance isn't worth watching it for. I don't think there's anything in this film worth watching it for, or the second one. So yeah, half star, whatever the fuck I gave it. It's shit, obviously. Yeah. Actually, this is the end of the video now. So thanks for watching. It's been a long video. I've watched and reviewed 7 films. Well, of course I didn't actually review or watch How to Be Single, because let's be honest, who is gonna watch that shit? Nobody. Yeah, if you guys have a suggestion as to who I should review next, guy or girl, good actor or bad actor, I don't mind. I'm trying to figure out if I can actually make an ASMR thing out of this microphone, and I don't know if it's gonna work. But that's what they use. They use a Blue Yeti. Just saying. Yeah, cool. I've had fun, for at least 4 of these films. For at least 4 of these films I had fun. The other 2 I just kind of sat down and was bored and was like, cool. Yeah. So yeah, in overall summary, watch Suspiria, watch The Bigger Splash, watch Bad Times at the El Royale, and for fun, get drunk and watch 50 Shades of Grey. Don't watch How to Be Single. Don't waste your time or your money. the one friend I know who did watch it said that it was bad, and she said that it was definitely a waste of her time. She watches those kind of films sometimes just for the gag. Still, I don't even do it for the fucking gag of this video. So ha 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 ha. Who's the real loser? Me, I'm the real loser. And don't watch the 50 Shades sequels. Just watch the first one. Cool. Bye. Thanks for watching. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe. You can check out the Cara Delevingne review video. It's probably here on the side. I don't know. It'll pop up eventually. I don't have much of an outro outside of that. So, yeah, if this microphone sounded better than the lapel, then fuck you. Because this thing's heavy. Yeah, I don't know. I've got at least 2 more ideas of actors to review. No, I'm not going to say who they are. One is a female. One is a male. They're both pretty good actors, actually. So I'm kind of changing it around, but I'm also like, I still want to review their bad films, you know? The films that they're both bad in and also bad for, and also the films are bad. But I like doing this kind of idea of more having a structure to it, like, you know, like in this case, the good, the bad, and the oh god, why, and stuff like that. So, yeah. Coolsies. Bye. This has been fun. See you kids next year in Jerusalem. Oh, Futurama reference. Yeah. Cool. That's how you end a video. Good job. Telecreations. 10 out of 10. Ending the video by review quoting a TV show from the 2000s. Yeah.